So what is up, Kings? I hope you guys are having a fantastic start to your week. I wanted to do like a chill, laid back discussion, just something that I think that I kind of struggle with, especially when I see certain content, things that kind of pop this into my mind and make me think about it. I think this is the case for everybody. You know, you go about your life and the things that you either actively or passively take in kind of actively and passively make you think about things. And one of the things that I have thought about recently is kind of this idea, because in the red pill space and like the self-help space and just I would say content creation on the male side of things, even the content that has females involved. And I do think that this topic comes up largely because females are included in the discussion. But the topic is, without going around this too much, is should men have a lot of friends? Should men be seeking a kind of massively social life? And I think the answer is not straightforward. But before we get into that, I want to ask you guys to consider smashing, just fucking boom, that subscribe button. Like, comment, let me know what you guys think in the comment section. I appreciate all the new subscribers. We finally reached the threshold of 1,000 subscribers, and I really do appreciate it. Not that it's the end all be all, but it is a cool little accomplishment all the same. I always tell people, like, when you make content, you do have to, whether you do it for fun or seriously, you do have to have thick skin, and you do come across a wide bereavement of comments. And one of the common comments is, oh, well, no wonder you only have X amount of comment or subscribers. No wonder you only have X amount of, and it's like, number one, everybody starts somewhere. Okay. Nobody's channel starts with 1,000 subscribers or 2,000 or 50,000 subscribers. Everybody has to build it up, and everybody's journey is not the exact same. Their development, their evolvement is not the exact same. But secondly, it may seem easy to make content, but just like anything else, it comes down to dedication, staying principled, staying grounded, and consistently putting in the work. And, this is something, as I've gotten older, that I have realized that what my family has said is true. My dad, my grandparents, that half the battle is just showing up and putting your best foot forward and consistently being dedicated in doing that. But most people, if they were to make a YouTube channel for whatever the case may be, let alone politics and popular culture, would be fucking lucky to reach 100 subscribers, let alone 1,000. So, I always, when I see these comments, that's my clap back to some of the things that are said, but I digress. So, let's get back to the topic at hand. Should men, grown men, have a strong motivation to have big social circles and kind of engage in this massively social life? So let me start here. Number one, I don't think that men and women are the same in this regard. The way that women view friendships and kind of the motivations for their life, what they have fulfillment within, part of that is having a big social circle. This is why women traditionally have been viewed as the nesters, because they do have and just in general, I would say women do tend to be a little bit more social. Not across the board. It's you do have some intersection and a wide segment that's about the same. But I would say, by and large, I would say women do tend to be a little bit more people oriented and a little bit more social. That's why, back in the day, not that I love Jordan Peterson or some of his most recent takes, but he, commonly put forward that women are interested in people, men are interested in things. So I don't think it's the same. And as somebody who is vehemently anti-feminist, I think it's important to nail this down, because I think in modernity, a lot of men kind of get confused when they look at the landscape. They go through the high school system. They go to, if they feel pressured to go to college or whatever the case may be, they look around and they are now in this society where women are right alongside them in every facet of life. And they can't help but look around and compare it to themselves and ask themselves, well, if they don't have it, why don't I have it? Or should I even have it? It's just a natural thing for any human being to do, is to look around and compare what others are doing to yourself and compare your situation to others. Not that you should do it to an unhealthy degree, but I think it is normal to do it to a certain degree. And so I think it's by extension, it's kind of natural for men to take the next step and ask themselves, well, why don't I have a shit ton of friends like girls do? Because a lot of girls do have pretty big social circles. And the thing is again, as an anti-feminist, I prescribe to the idea that men and women are not the same. We have different essences. We have different roles in society that are God ordained, as an Orthodox Christian myself. So I think when discussing this topic, that is where you need to begin, is that men and women are not the same. Now, just speaking about this from a purely male point of view, I do think some of the positives to having a social circle as a man is, number one, vocational. And that can include building up your network, gaining skills, gaining contacts, resources, knowledge, and things of that nature. When I first made this YouTube channel, I made a short that was a pretty popular short saying what environments men can immediately put themselves into to basically immediately have a social circle. And I put forward, officiating, as that's something that I do at a high level. You immediately are given access to a lot of individuals that are professionals and have a lot of good professional things going on. You can go to cigar lounges if you're okay with smoking cigars. They tend to usually be males that are at the cigar lounges. And I think the other one I said was the gym. I think another place that you could go is you could get involved in like adult softball leagues and things like that, or adult soccer leagues. But the thing with that is sometimes you already have to have a network in order to gain access to that arena in the first place. But I'm sure there are leagues that kind of have teams that are put together with people who don't already have a team. So I'm sure if you tried hard enough, you could find that, or you could just put forward that you're trying to start a team, and I'm sure you would get a lot of interest from people who are interested in doing that. I don't do the sports league thing myself. I just don't have the time. I played sports at the highest level, not the highest level, but fucking very close to it, playing collegiately. about as high as you can get, top 1%, or probably even less than that, top, 0.005%. And so for me, if I can't compete at the level that I want to, if I can't put in the time to be able to compete at that level that I know I can compete at, then it's not very fun for me. I'm a very competitive man. And so if I cannot be at the level that I know I can be at, it's hard for me to engage in said activity. But for those of you who that's not a major factor, then it's no sweat. And I wish on a certain level that it wasn't a big deal to me either. But I think the gym is a good one too. The gym, though, you do have to be a little outgoing and assertive in talking with people. Personally, I tend to be more of a lone wolf and kind of more individualistic. And so for me, the conversations that I have mostly are people approaching me rather than me approaching them. But I'm perfectly pleasant, as you guys can see. I'm articulate. I'm outgoing. I'm an outgoing, individualistic kind of lone wolf guy. So, but if you were motivated enough, you could go to the gym and be assertive and immediately initiate conversations and relationships with people, especially if you go to a gym that has a pool, a sauna, a steam room, stuff like that. So there's that. Those are some places that you can go, and those are the things that are positives about having a social circle as a man. And I also think just in general, and I can't believe I forgot this, another place you can go, obviously, is to church. And obviously, I highly recommend that as well, which is the reason why I'm making this video in the first place. And I also think that it is important for men, especially married men, to continue to have access to male friends. Because I do think that Myron Gaines is correct to a certain extent, that when you are around your wife or your girlfriend too much, it can become very easy by extension to start to transition into being one of the gals, one of the girls. Women can't help but kind of put off that energy and promote engaging in those sorts of activities. And as a man, you're constantly having to safeguard against that and withhold that. And one of the best ways that you can prevent that is by maintaining a male circle. It doesn't have to be big. It can be, on one hand, a handful of guys that you go hang out with at least, once every couple of weeks or something like that, spending time with the boys. So I think that that's imperative. I think it's imperative for men to maintain their masculinity by being around masculinity. And again, I don't think that men and women were ever meant to spend this inordinate amount of time with each other, because again, at the end of the day, we are different. Now, if you are in a relationship where your woman does view you as the leader, then I think you can maintain it as it should be the case. I think, but unfortunately, it's not the case by and large. That's why we're seeing so many divorces. I think you can maintain a certain level of masculinity within that, but again, it's still important to have a certain amount of male friends, because let's be honest, unless you're a guy that is a huge self-motivator and extremely disciplined, and you kind of continuously engage in these more masculine endeavors, masculine activities, it can be easy to just step back into a more feminine frame of mind. But again, you also have the option, again, if you're a leader, of having your girl tag along with you for your more masculine endeavors. Again, I'm not a big supporter of that because I do think men need to spend time with other men and alone and cultivating their masculinity. Like when I go to the gym and I see guys there, and they might be fucking huge, they might be buff, shredded, whatever, in good shape, but they bring their girlfriend along. I don't like that. I wouldn't ever, I would only do that in like certain circumstances, here or there type thing. If maybe like I have already worked out and, you know, she wanted me there to coach her up and assist her in a workout activity, things like that. But I'm like, dude, what the fuck are you doing? Like, there's no need for this. Like, you need to have time on your own as a man. You need time within your own masculinity. But the thing that I struggle with the most personally is I do know, just to answer my own question, I do think it is important to have somewhat of a social circle. I don't think it's imperative, and I don't think it's always needed, which I'll get to, but it is important to have it in a lot of circumstances in a variety of ways. And a male social circle as an adult is going to be different than what a woman has within her social circle and the things that they get out of their social circle. You know, a man in his social circle is going to get a lot of positive attributes within the masculine mindset. How to improve at work, how to improve, shooting at the gun range, or, how to make this deal, how to make this connection, how to improve around the house, making this home improvement, shit like that. So I do think it's important, but I also think, and this is something that I struggle with, like I said, just to answer my own question as I just did. For me, I'm kind of in the stage of my life where I'm still young, but I am leaving younghood, and I am like approaching the prime of my life, but I'm in that period where I'm really building up my life. And I'm on the grind. I've been on the grind for a long time, ever since I, stepped into adulthood, but I'm really, really on the grind now. And being on your grind can be lonely. It can be time consuming. And because it's time consuming, it can be lonely. And I think that this, and so this is just the reality. And so for me, like, as somebody who's an Orthodox Christian man, on one hand, I know that it is important for me to maybe stay at church longer on a Sunday and engage in, small group after liturgy is complete, and spend time around some of my male friends there and engage in conversation and pleasantries and things like that, and engage in Christian theological discussion. But on the other hand, it's tough because, like I said, I am in that grind mode, and all of my time is accounted for. Like I don't have a lot of free time, between officiating, going to the gym, studying, the normal everyday shit that you do, going to the store, stuff like that. There's just not really a ton of time. And, the weekend tends to be the time when you can kind of get a lot of this shit done. And so it's kind of hard. And this is something that I have struggled with. And I think what I have come to terms with, and I've spent a lot of time in prayer, and, I have talked with my church father and things like that. I think, every person, man or woman, but specifically men, we all have seasons to our life and time periods in our life. And I think it's perfectly acceptable given the fact that there's a lot of young men who watch my channel, I think it is perfectly acceptable for you to be in the time of your life where you are on your grind. And yeah, you are going to be a little bit lonely. And yes, you forego maybe engaging in relationships with women and spending time with that. Now, if there's a woman that comes along and she's not somebody who's super needy of your time and your energy and your resources, and she's willing to step into your world and be a part of your world rather than you giving up all this shit, then yeah, maybe so. But that's a unicorn. That's going to be very difficult to find. But point is, I think it's perfectly acceptable to be on your grind and just kind of acknowledge that being on your grind, a part of that is going to be that it's time consuming, and because it's time consuming, it's going to be lonely at times. And yes, this can span over a couple of years, because to be successful at anything, usually it takes a decent amount of time. So I think that that's perfectly fine. Now, for some of you guys, depending on what your grind is, like for example, if you're somebody who's in sales or something like that, you being on your grind might entail engaging in some of these social activities. If I was in sales, I would absolutely be doing, a part of my grind would be to network and make as many new acquaintances as I could and gain entry into new networking arenas. Because the thing about networking is, once you gain access to this and to this person, it opens up a bereavement of new contacts and new people. And that's how network goes. You gain access to this person, and now you have access to all their contacts, especially if it's a positive enough relationship. I have somebody that I have been lucky to have been put in my life that is a president of a university, and I'm lucky to have at least some access to the resources and contacts that he has, if I so chose. But the thing is, you have to be careful with that, because when it comes to the acquaintances and the individuals that you know within your network, there's only so many favors that you can ask of people, and you have to it's going to vary from acquaintance to acquaintance, and it's going to be up to you to decide, are you approaching that threshold of asking favors? Sometimes it's okay to be selfish and reserve a more selfish favor rather than using one of your token favors to cash at the favor machine for somebody else or some other entity. So if I was in sales or I was in business, that would be a part of the grind. But again, that's different than a purely social circle. But again, just to conclude this video, I think for men, it's going to be rare for you to ever have a lot of people that are in your social circle similar to how women have other women in their social circle. And what I mean by that is like a true friendship. I think men, by and large, have anywhere from 0 to 7 good guy friends. And I think I'm being a little advantageous with that number. I think it's probably under 5 advantageous. I'm being a little optimistic with that number. I think it's probably under 5, the number of truly good male friends that you have. But at the same time, men can go great periods where they don't see a male friend of theirs for an extended period of time because of distance or time or lack thereof, and then the circumstances allow them to hang out and they pick up where they left off. Whereas for women, I don't think that that's the case. I think women, by and large, tend to stay in connection at all times with women that they consider their friends, which usually tends to be quite a lot of people. So, that's pretty much it. I mean, there really is no like full-blown answer to this. Those are just kind of my chill, relaxed thoughts to start out the week on kind of male friendships and male social circles, and whether you have to have a male social circle and things like that. I think in general, what I think you should have is just to be doing stuff, be active, engaging in things, go to the gym, go to church, and yes, you're going to be able to do it in varying degrees, but just stay active, put your best foot forward. This is me saying that I'm a lone wolf is not saying that it's okay necessarily for you to be a homebody and be somebody who's using all their free time to only play video games and fucking spend endless hours playing video games. I'm not against video games per se, but I'm also not saying that if you're somebody who is on your grind, that you should use that as an excuse to only play video games in your free time. I think, again, you need to be purposeful and active in putting your best foot forward. So, because a lot of men really are checking out, and, whatever open time they have is being reserved to be more of a homebody. And what's it called? There's a word that I'm looking for. That's the word I was looking for. More of a hermit type figure. So anyways, guys, those are my thoughts. Let me know what you guys think. I mean, I don't think it's a one size fits all, but that's kind of what I've seen. I mean, most of the guys that I have known within my family and guys that I've known, just known as friends and things like that, and just speaking for myself, men by and large don't have the type of social circle that women do. And I don't think that you should. I don't think that there's anything wrong with that. But I do think you should try to be purposeful with your actions in remaining active and putting your best foot forward and trying to stay busy and consistently setting goals for yourself, being on your grind, being on your purpose, and things like that, while also realizing that every human being, especially when it comes to men, have different seasons of their life. I kind of sound like a fucking woman saying that. They have different points in their life in which there's the things that are of importance to you are going to change. It's not going to be the same, from 20 to 30. It's not going to be the exact same of 30 to 40, just to make the example clear and concise. So we're going to go ahead and cut it off there. I was looking for different segments in your life where things take different priority and precedence, and that's going to change from man to man. All right, guys, thank you guys so much for watching. Be sure to smash that subscribe button, like, comment, share. Y'all know the drill. And last but not least, DBAP, don't be a pussy willow. In fact, your feelings because your feelings just matter. Love you, kings. See you guys next time. Christ is King. Peace.